I'll narrate what I'm doing here at double time. So I start a new document. I'm making 2000 by 2000 pixels. And first I decided I'm going to draw a series of circles that I want to use as my reference points for the patterns I'm going to draw, have the program draw along the circle, um, along the edge of the circles. So I'm drawing a bunch of circles here. The latest circle is as big as is on top. So now I'm spending a minute or two just getting the circles in the correct order. So the small one is in front and the big one is in back, and get them all aligned to the center point. So they're all perfectly aligned on top of each other. Okay, I've got them all aligned. And of course, I've got to save my document, give a name. Got to put it in my COM130 folder. Okay, so now I'm ready to start playing around here. Actually, what I'm doing here is turning off the fill of the circles, so it's just the lines. Yeah. And so I'm going to draw my first little pattern. Take the little brush and I draw a little squiggly thing. It's a vector brush. So I'm opening the brushes panel. I drop it in there. Tell it to be a pattern brush. It's a brush. I'm good. Okay. And I call it squiggle. So now what I do is I select the circle that I want the pattern to go on. And all I have to do here, I'm just trying to remember how to do it. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Look back at the instructions. I select the circle, I select the pattern, and it automatically draws the pattern onto the circle. So I'm going to try a new one. That doesn't make any sense. What else can I do? I'll draw a little star. Drag it over to the pattern window. to the brush window there, make it a pattern brush. There it is. Clicked the next circle and draws the stars along that circle. By the way, I've discovered later that in the pattern, when you can determine when it draws the pattern what the frequency is and space it. So here's a new star up top. Call it green. And trying to figure out how to scale it. There we go. And drag that into the brush window, make it a pattern brush, and click the innermost circle, or click one of the circles. Can't remember what I'm doing here. Yeah, click that circle, click the pattern, and there it draws it on there. Okay, delete these old little references, patterns, items that I had set up. So now I'm going to draw a new ellipse. Now it's the last thing I drew, so it's on the top. I'm going to put it in the back. At this point, I'm pretty much just experimenting. Now I'm trying to remember how to do a blend, a gradient. So I'm kind of fidgeting here, not quite remembering how to draw a gradient in this circle. Finally, I realized that you do it by clicking the little dot down there in terms of the fill to be a gradient. I get the gradient properties. I make it so it's the center gradient, radial gradient. Now I can play with the colors. In this case, it's monochrome, so I'm playing with the gradations of where they fall on this circle. Finally, it kind of looks like a frisbee. Anyways, I think I'll go with that for the time being. Zoom out a little bit. Centered in the frame, in the area. So now I want to play with this center circle. Try to figure out how to make it bigger, transform it without it becoming an ellipse. I never quite figured that out with the control key, the key trick, so you can draw an ellipse without scaling it, without becoming an ellipse. Actually, so I'm drawing a new circle way out there. And I'm going to draw a new little pattern. I decided I want to make a series of lines for this one, long lines. So here I'm copying and pasting lines to make a series of 5 or so lines that are going to be the pattern for that new circle that's outside the squiggly circle there. And actually what I'm doing is I'm making each line a little bit bigger. I'm copying it, making it so it's a little smaller. Not smaller, the width. So if you look carefully, you can see that the lines on the ends are thin and the ones in the middle are a little thicker. I'm just trying to align them so they're all aligned. I want to make sure the distribution is even, but I'm not doing that right, so I'm playing around to figure out how to get the lines to be equally distributed between each other. And I discovered something new, which is the distribution spacing down there. I didn't know that. I sort of learned about that. So I can adjust the distribution spacing. And there. Kind of like that. Okay. So now I'm going to reopen the brushes properties window and drag that in without dragging that circle. And there we have a new pattern. Okay, looking at some of I'm looking at some of the properties in here, what I can do with that. Just mess around, see if I find something that I prefer or like better than something else. A lot of just playing and experimenting, really. And don't really understand how that key color thing works, but so I'll just forget about that. And okay, click that circle, and there it draws my little lines around that. So now I'm going to I'm trying to see about moving it forward and behind the objects, but since they're all black and white, it really doesn't make a difference in terms of the way it looks. So I had my star go around the inner circle there, and then because it's so close to the front that it sort of distorted the star, which is kind of cool. Now I'm playing with those green stars. I don't really like the green stars here. Basically, I'm going with a monochrome design, so I'm going to playing around what kind of pattern I could put in that line. I actually end up with a solid line there. Okay, so I'm going to draw another circle. Remember the last thing I drew was on the top. I'm centering it. And what am I going to put in that circle? I'm going to try something a little different, which is to, actually, before I get there, I drew a circle and it's still got the gradient applied to it like I had earlier. So now I can play with a circle and the gradient. So it's not really a pattern, I'm just playing with the gradient. And I'm going to send it behind other objects, so it's not behind, too far behind. So now it's sort of, its arrangement is, yeah, I'm playing with where it falls in terms of whether it's behind or in front the other circles with patterns on them. Now I'm playing with the gradient in that circle with the gradient properties tool there. Just messing around. Okay, kind of like the way that looks, but don't like is a way of sort of intersecting the star circle. So I'm actually going to play with, yeah, so there I reduced the scale of it, reduced it small to this smaller, kind of like that. So the last thing is sort of I have this white area between the dark circle and the star circle. So now I'm going to think, well, what? Yeah, I got another one of those. There, it turned off the gradient. Just trying to make a circle without anything in it. Scale it a little bit. Okay, so it's right back. That new circle's right kind of between the areas that are in that white area. Okay, so for a pattern brush, I think I'm going to try something a little different. I can draw a little tiny ellipse. There we go. And fill it with a, here I'm filling it with a gradient, kind of like that. Drag it in, and then it tells me that there's something in that it can't be a brush. So I'm figuring probably because I filled it with a gradient, it didn't like that. So I'm going to fill my little ellipse with a solid color. In this case, it's monochrome, it's kind of a mid-range gray like that. Okay, drag that, and that made a pattern brush. Now here's where I'm playing with different properties of the brush. And here's the spacing is what's powerful right here. The spacing of the brushes. I can space how far I want them apart. Kind of like that, click it, and there you have it. So I think, I remember what I'm doing here. Playing with the size of it. So yeah, I made this circle a little smaller that the brush is on, and got it right where I want it. And I think I'm done. Get it right in the middle of my frame here. Save it. And that's my mandala. Thank you for watching and listening to my color commentary, so to speak. Thank you.